Hi, welcome to the coaching game. I'm Laurie Lawson, and tonight my partner in crime and coaching is Terry Yoffe.
Here I am in the dark, as always.
In the dark, we're all
In
kind
the
of in
dark,
the dark.
always.
But
There.
luckily,
If I sit really
there,
close, there you go.
you look freaky. Sit
See
back
me?
a little.
Okay, that
A little.
seems to work. Well,
Back a little bit. And
this is Coaches Creating Change.
it is. And luckily, you're talking about being in the dark. We have a person who's going to enlighten us. And the person in the world is Magda Mook, the Executive Director and CEO of the International Coaching Federation. And usually, Terry and I we're like do this coaching, creating change thing. We kind of dropped that in 2020 because we don't need to create change. We just need to survive change. So what we want to find out from Magda is how to do that, what ICF Global is doing, and all kinds of exciting things. So Terry, I'm going to let you, Magda, thank you for coming and welcome.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Always pleasure to be with you, ladies.
We love having you on. We love having you on. So take it away, Terry. You can have the honor.
So I just want to say it's always wonderful to see you, Magda. I feel, always have a special place in my heart for you. And I remember Prague last year, which seemed like a lifetime ago. So with everything going on with this pandemic and, everything that is part of it, what's going on in the coaching world, and how is ICF talking about it, and how are coaches reacting to it, and how are they figuring out how to work around it, especially with clients?
Mm-hmm. Very timely, of course, conversation. And my gosh, who knew early in the year that we will be in September, late September with that.
Right.
And we will still be, frankly, in a land of uncertainty. So what ICF did immediately after the pandemic was so very obvious to all of us, was to create resources for our members, create ways for them to resource themselves, to have some ideas for how to work with clients. Many of the coaches, I think, were prepared to embrace the virtual nature of work, but many of the clients were not. So we were giving them some examples of, how do you talk to your client in a virtual environment? How do you convince them that this is actually a good thing to do? But we had basically three types of resources. One were for a coach to resource themselves as a person, how to stay fit for purpose. I mean, coaches are impacted by this pandemic as much as any other human being, right? The other sector or section, if you will, was the professional development resources for coaches. And finally, just very specific to the health updates. So links to reputable places where they could find more about the pandemic in their respective place of residence, and how to protect themselves as well. But also, so it came that last year we administered yet another PricewaterhouseCoopers global coaching study. And that study, the field time closed at the end of December. Well, what do you know? Came the new year and the pandemic came about. So very excited about the global coaching study. We spoke to our partners at PricewaterhouseCoopers, and we said, if we're releasing it in September, we have to have something around the pandemic. So we did the supplemental, we call it snapshot study on the impact of COVID on coaches and coaching. It was a much shorter study, much shorter field time, and yet we had over 10,000 responses from around the globe. To that particular study. What we found is that there are coaches who are very significantly negatively impacted by the pandemic. About 25% would say that they were significantly negatively impacted. On the flip side, there is about 25% of coaches who said that they are they see very positive impact on their business coming out of a pandemic. So in other words, we probably can create a story that we find a person to say, that's my story, from significantly negatively impacted to not so bad to business as usual. Yeah, see a little uptake to, hey, this is a boom. So what we do know from the study, much to working virtually, is that over 70% of coaches reported that they started utilizing virtual tools much more so than before, and so did their clients. Interestingly, although I don't think surprisingly, there is an uptake in life and vision coaching. In other words, even some of the clients that perhaps would identify themselves as executive and business clients now come to coaches with more like, and how do I live in this? So we see quite a bit of that. What we also heard and saw in a study is that there was a certain delay in coaching services being upheld. In other words, there were existing contracts perhaps, and then there was a stop. It wasn't a cancellation. It was like, listen, we, especially organizations, we have to take care of business first. And then so many of those businesses came back saying, and we need coaching more desperately than ever. Leaders talk about very new paradigm of being a leader to a virtual team. They talk about their own vulnerability and being able to lead. There is the self-trust and self-awareness, something that we know coaching is so remarkably helpful with. So I think what we are seeing is, again, that for some, it was a time of slowdown. And for many, it is a place where people either saw a great uptake of business, but also many coaches engage in just helping others. Coaches are so generous. It's a generous profession, and there were not a shortage of paid or pro bono initiatives that offered coaching support to the most vulnerable or the most needy people, such as first responders, such as medical profession, but also those being displaced or let go of jobs. So including ICF, so we created this ICF Coaches for Good initiative. We decided to work with the not-for-profit organizations that suffered, either the industries that they represent suffered greatly, or they were supporting medical first responders, very, very vulnerable populations. So we over, I want to say 1,200 coaches around the globe offered their services, and as of the end of August, we utilized more than 800 hours of professional coaching offered to those organizations with great success and with great appreciation. And to me, that does two things. One, again, shows such a phenomenal generosity of coaches, and also the fact that they know that this service now can really be transformational, and also something that may just help not to cross to the dark side. It's easy to go to the dark side these days. But also, there was a unusual opportunity to bring awareness of coaching to some populations that perhaps would not have been as familiar with what we do. And that kind of leads me to a conversation around general application of coaching to societal progress. We've been seeing much more of the, again, talk about coaching, supporting United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. ICF signed the Declaration of Climate Crisis and how coaching can support that. We, ICF Foundation, are working with the UNICEF to support their leadership in offering, equal access to education, for example. So societal sector or social progress sector is growing very fast as any other sector of the economy. And right now, I think we start seeing organizations, small and large, to use coaching for leadership development and also for supporting the recipients of the help through societal progress organizations. To me, it was just natural that would happen because we have so much information and great data on effectiveness of coaching, return on investment in coaching, return on expectation in coaching. And again, we are in a circumstance that these issues of social progress are being talked about not only at the individual level, not only at the not-for-profit level, but so many large corporations do have their corporate social responsibility programs. So many request, in fact, the reporting about those programs. Stakeholders are interested and paying attention. So again, to me, it was only a matter of time when coaching will, in fact, find its way to support organizations and those causes alike. So I am very excited about seeing a new sector opening up to these services of coaches.
Let me piggyback on your social responsibility, because not only did we have a nice pandemic going on for the whole year, we also had Black Lives Matter, which created a whole awareness of social responsibility. And I know that ICF created an inclusivity statement. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because that's more, and is that just in the United States? Where is that happening?
Yeah. So yes, actually, after the events in Minnesota, we did issue a statement against violence, racism, inequality, and injustice. And as a follow-up to that statement, in fact, we created a statement on diversity, inclusion, belonging, and justice. And as we had conversations around it, actually, as a global organization, we are making statements on behalf of our membership. And in the United States, Black Lives Matter, of course, is something that everybody would recognize now. But those issues are very true in other parts of the world. The discrimination, the injustice, either based on race, gender, religion, economic situation are rampant. So it is not just specific to the United States. And as we talk more as a leadership of the organization about it, we saw a need to not make a statement and be happy with it, but to really examine what needs to be done and what needs to be done at the level of an individual, at the level of the organization, such as ICF, and frankly, is there something that we need to do about coaching profession? Are we diverse and inclusive? Are we creating space of belonging? are we truly for equality in what we do? So with that, the leadership of ICF decided to create a task force, which is co-chaired by a member of the global board, Tracy Sinclair, and George Nutu, a gentleman from Kenya, who is a member of the independent review board. And this task force, which should present its finding in about 6 weeks, is not creating solutions per se, but to creating a roadmap of how we can make diversity, inclusion, belonging, and justice part of a canvas of ICF as an organization and coaching as a profession. I think this is one of the most important initiatives that we engaged into. I think that most coaches, if asked, would say, of course, we're for those values, value of respect, value of equality are already reflected in either the values of the organization or in our code of ethics. And yet, I think that definitely it's the awareness for the organization as well, that some very specific actions, initiatives, steps need to be taken in order for us to live that statement in who we are and what we do.
Walk the walk, absolutely. Yeah, I knew IPEC. I'm not IPEC. I'm sorry. I know what my group is doing also, but I knew that ICF was going to be on top of it. I didn't realize you were so on top of it. So there is a task force as we speak, working
Yes.
on it. Fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, this is really important again to know that it's not necessarily country or region specific, but again, looking much more holistically. And at the same time, you know, when we're talking about what an individual can do, because more and more, and that's not necessarily speaking about ICF, but more anecdotally, I find myself speaking to so many people saying, oh, things have to change. We can't live like this any longer. And yet people would say, and I don't feel empowered. I don't know what to do. So part of the plan, I think, is to also give people ideas. Every single one of us matters. It could be how you show up with your client, right? But it could be what you can do as an individual, not even necessarily a coach, as an individual, what you can do to be a part of that wave of change that it's absolutely necessary.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I recently signed up for something called ICF Advanced 2020. What did I sign up for? It sounded so
a little late to be asking, Laurie.
Well, thank you for your trust in our programming, right? Yes, so Advance is a virtual event. We actually started organizing advances, I want to say 5 years ago. And the last couple were virtual, and this one already was planned as a virtual. Who knew, right? They would have to do it that way anyway. Advance is a educational offering that tackles upon what's new and exciting in research. What are the trends in coaching? It's you know, it's meant to be on a provocative side a little bit, you know, stir the pot. Let's hear the latest thinking. Let's talk about something that maybe is not mainstream, typical educational offerings for coaches. And back to diversity and inclusion, in fact, going through the program of this event, there are many sessions that will speak to those issues as well. You know, there are really great, this is a great lineup of speakers, presenters, some names you would recognize, some you would not, and that's by design, because we need to bring fresh thinking, different thinking to the mainstream. So I think that's gonna be a fantastic educational and intellectual, really, opportunity for and a dialogue as well. You know, it's created in a way that there is time for listening and absorbing, there is time for offering input, and there is time for reflection and conversation in that construct. So it's starting at the beginning of October, and it is a virtual event, so please do check it on our website, coachfederation.org, in under events, and see the program. There is a good number of CCE hours that you can gain by participating in the event as well. So thank you for signing up already, and I would invite everybody to check it out, because I know there is not a shortage of events being available online these days, but this is very carefully curated, and also, you know, we were of course planning it a good year ago, but with the pandemic and all these changes in our lives, the programming has been adjusted as well to be the most relevant to our members.
Great, I'm excited. Tara, you have any questions for Miss Magda? We have like 6.5 minutes left.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Oh, wow, that went quickly. No, this has been really informative. I mean, what I'm finding is with all of this going on, that as a coach, I'm wearing a lot of different hats.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some of it, you know, when you look at the code of ethics and what here we are, and this is, you know, what we're doing, I'm finding the lines are becoming a little blurred, especially during this time. People, I think, want consoling. They want more empathy. I think, you know, although we don't give advice, you kind of, they want something. And I just wonder about, you know, how far we can push the envelope here.
You know, you said the word empathy. I think that this is exactly what everybody is longing for, and it's such an interesting paradox, because on one hand we all are really struggling a little bit, even if it's unconscious. We hear, you know, especially now, so many months into it, COVID rage, COVID fatigue, COVID frustration, COVID depression. Oh my God, right? Nobody talks about COVID joy. So, so this is very true, that this especially prolonged time of pandemic is taking a toll. It's taking a toll on the resilience. It's taking a toll on patience. So even more so, there is that need for a hug, right? When we can't have a hug. So I think that my personal opinion would be that we need to do what's needed for our clients, even if sometimes it's sitting with them and listening and just being there. You know, we don't in a business environment, we do hear that people are actually willing to come back a little bit to this more directive style. Just tell me what I need to do. You know, a very interesting article I read recently had a headline, prepare to be unprepared. And where it went was that because our circumstances are still so fluid, planning for more than 2 months in advance is maybe very interesting intellectual exercise, but that's about it. We need to be able to move, you know, change on a dime, just like that, which again adds more stress and anxiety. So for me, as long as we are not crossing a line to step into a medical space of therapy, psychoanalysis, psychiatry, then I think being empathetic and vulnerable with our clients is what we need to do.
Thank you.
And with that, what I would say is, and I mentioned that earlier with the resources that we created for coaches. Coaches have to take care of themselves, right? We need that empathy as much as any other person, and to be able to give our best to our clients, we need that space for self-care, again, more so than ever.
Thank you. Thank you. Very good. Very well put. I'm saying it's getting comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah, that too.
You know, because that's where we're at. So, well, Laurie, how are we doing?
We got little bit over 2 minutes.
Wow.
But I think I'm so glad you mentioned self-care, because I know I go through, it's like, oh, I got this. And then the next hour, I mean, I won't even give myself a day, you know, and it's like, oh, things to see what's going on. So it's finding the opportunities in this whole thing. It's like embracing the change, absolutely, and finding the opportunities. Like I would normally have to wait for you to come to New York City before I could take the show, and here we are.
Right, exactly.
And you could have been anywhere, and you usually are. You're usually in a town, a city, a state, or a country. So there are things that are good, and I think it's going to be maintaining a little bit of faith that coaches, especially if you can get it together, are being called to like never before. They're being really summoned out, and it's like, yeah, it's all important now, and we can kind of help you get there, or we can at least hold your hand while you're getting there. And I think this is a great opportunity for coaches, and I'm thrilled to hear that ICF is stepping up to the challenge. It's just so good to be a part of the organization and know that, okay, we're in there. Yeah. So I will give you the last minute, Magda, and what do you got to say in a minute to the people around the world?
I thank you for your statement, Laurie, because I agree wholeheartedly. I think that coaching is needed right now more than ever. Coaches are needed more time than ever, and we actually are making a difference.
Yes.
We're making a difference. We're making a sustainable difference. We are supporting our clients, our families, communities, systems, whatever they are, in a way that I don't know if there is anything else they can do in the same way. So in my last minute, I want to thank every single one of professional coaches, ICF members, credentialed coaches, everybody who is making themselves available in so many different ways to raise awareness of coaching, to provide professional service, again, in a time that is important. And I truly think that we're gonna emerge from this crisis stronger as a profession and as an organization. But primarily, huge thank you.
We are thrilled to have you at the helm. And
yes,
Karen,
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Laurie.
And we will welcome you back anytime.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.